following me, man. Do you trust? Got 20 minutes. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I could tell that the school year is back because all of a sudden I'm starting to catch another bug. I have no idea. I've been feeling great. Haven't been sleeping a whole lot, but maybe that's the reason why I'm run down a little bit. I don't know, but it feels like I got something in my throat. I might be catching something, but I'm a soldier. I don't call out. I don't sit on the sidelines. I don't lay out on the football field. I show up to play, no matter what. So here we are. Well, today is the day. Well, tomorrow is the day that is going to be very critical for the Cleveland Browns and their future. They have the final preseason game, and they're going to be playing against the LA Rams at home. So we all been watching this battle take place between Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders and trying to figure out the whole time what is the logic of what the Browns have been doing up to this point. And so far, they don't have a good report card from the public about the decisions they have been making. How you doing, Peter? So the question is, what will the Browns do? But if you look in the chat there, I put that it's going to be the Cleveland Browns Bowl. So I told you guys before that I'm somewhat of a crack historian of the NFL and most other sports. And the thing is that I call it the Cleveland Bowl because if you have any idea, the Rams franchise that we know today actually started in Cleveland. They played there in 46. They were an NFL team, and the Browns started in 46 as the member of the AAFC. They won all 4 championships before joining the NFL proper, along with the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams themselves left Cleveland after the 49 season and went to LA. And lo and behold, in 1950, the Browns ran through the league and made it to the championship where they ran into guess who? The LA Rams. So the first true Cleveland Bowl was the 1950 NFL championship when you had members from the city had members from both leagues represented, and they played for the NFL championship. So that's just a little nugget from the past. So the Rams come back home to take on the Browns tonight, tomorrow afternoon, I believe, and we get to see which one of these quarterbacks are going to step up and stake their claim for the future. Jobs on the line. We know that Joe Flacco has been named the starter, and the fly in the ointment is Kenny Pickett. We hadn't seen him. He hadn't been in full competition in practice for most of training camp. So a lot of people think he's already cemented in that second spot. But is he really? These young guys seem to be coming on strong, and they want to stake their piece of the team. And Pickett, as long as you're injured, you're hurting yourself. So tonight, or tomorrow, I should say, we should finally get a chance to see what Pickett's going to do. Of course, Gabriel and Sanders are going to come in, and then we're going to sit around and wait to see what the Browns will do. Well, I'm starting to think that one or two things are going to happen. I originally said that the Browns would take the loser of the Gabriel and Sanders battle and cut them with the intention of re-signing them to the practice squad. But they played well enough in the limited action that they have that if you did that, you're not going to get that player back. Somebody's going to pick him up and sign him before you have a chance to put him on the practice squad. So what I'm looking at now is this. They're probably going to keep both young quarterbacks. And if they have to get rid of anybody, it's going to be Kenny Pickett. So if he comes out tomorrow, and he lays an egg, then I think Pickett is going to be dealt for some kind of value on that pick, on his trade value. If that doesn't happen, they're going to deal one of the two young quarterbacks to see if they can recoup some of the draft capital that they lost. So that's what I think is going to happen. Either they're going to get rid of Pickett or they're going to deal either Sanders or Gabriel. Because if they cut either one of them or any of them, somebody's going to pick them up real quick. And I think that's likely what we're likely to see. Now, the other drama coming out of Cleveland surrounding this, Gabriel made a statement, something about being entertainers and athletes, and he's a competitor and all this crap. Well, a lot of people took offense to that because they thought he was taking a shot at Shador. If you recall, a couple years ago when Oregon, right before they played Colorado, Lanning, the Oregon coach, talking about Colorado is just a team looking for clicks. We're a football team. We're not coming to play for clicks. Well, Gabriel played for Lanning last year, and they thinking that he was on the same team when Lanning made those statements about Colorado, but it was not. He was still in Oklahoma. He only played 1 year in Oregon, and the connection is that he played for the same coach who made that statement. So for him to say something similar to that made people think he was taking a shot at Shador. But according to Shador, he said he talked to Gabriel about that, and the man, you said there was no problem with that. They got an understanding on that. It was no big deal. It's just that the media takes things and they run with it and blow it all out of proportion. So it's not going to be settled on the back line. It's going to be settled in tomorrow's game. And if both of those guys play well, then I think that's going to be the end of Kenny Pickett. They're going to ship him off somewhere, and because he was a high draft pick before, somebody's going to pick him up and give him another shot. So all these guys are going to end up just fine. But I told you guys the other day what I think is going to happen. If the Browns struggle all year and the quarterback position is not playing well, what's likely to happen is Deshaun Watson may come back at the end of the year and be eligible to play. If he's eligible to play, the Browns are going to have to cut somebody to bring him off the IR. And if they have to do that, they're already paying him big money. And the other guys, if they're struggling, why not give Watson another shot? Remember, it's all about money and wins. And if Deshaun Watson can get out there and play and start generating a win or two, those fans forget all about the injuries he's had and all the disappointments that they have over his signing. So keep an eye on that. The NFL, just like most major sports, they're kind of strange when it comes to that kind of thing. And I think that is the case. But one thing you guys missed the other day, I told you, the Anthony Richardson, he lost his job to Daniel Jones. And words coming out now that there was already agreement in place when Daniel Jones took that position, assigned with the Colts, that he was going to be the starting quarterback regardless of what Richardson did. At least according to Richardson's agent. And they seem to be disappointed about that. But for what we've seen on the field, looked like to me that Jones has outplayed Richardson. I've been awfully critical of Richardson because I think that the guy should have stayed in college longer than what he did because he was not consistent in college. So I can't understand why a team would waste a fourth-round draft choice on a quarterback that was greatly inconsistent on the college level and greatly inexperienced on the college level. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And what I thought is actually playing out with the Colts. Now, Richardson, some of that stuff that he's having problems with is all self-imposed. Had he just got his checks right, he would have never injured his hand, and he would have had a better opportunity to win that job. But he got hurt on a situation that he fully controlled. All you got to do is slide the line and push your protection in the right way. He didn't make the right call and left the guy exposed off the end, and that's the guy that hit him and injured his hand. That's his fault. And if he's making those kind of mistakes in the preseason when everybody's playing vanilla, what's he going to do when the real bullets start flying? He's just not ready to play. And he's got to get himself ready to play because you know how Jones is. He's greatly inconsistent too. And just a matter of time before Richardson has another opportunity to get back on the field. So we'll see how that goes. Now, let me go ahead and check some of these. Say hello here. I already said Peter. Munazir Gaming. How you doing? Tahar Freedy says hello. What's the best way to get rid of a body? And Hi Rumi says hi Daddy or whatever. All right. So what do you guys think about this Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel battle? Who do you think is going to win this? I think that Gabriel, he had better stats than what Sanders had, but that interception he threw for pick six was troubling. He had two receivers in the same area there, and he still tried to force it in there. I think once you see as a quarterback that you have receivers in the wrong area or too many in a tight space, you got to go somewhere else or throw it away or just take off. He didn't do that. He tried to squeeze it in there and ended up pick six the other way. And that's something you can't do, but it's also something that rookies tend to do. And he can fix that. Sanders, he played well against the Panthers the week before, so he looks like he's worthy of a roster spot. The only person we hadn't seen is Kenny Pickett. Pickett, he had ups and downs in Pittsburgh, but I think Pickett was worthy enough to keep around and keep building toward the future. He wasn't playing so bad that you can come out and say, well, this guy can't do it. I didn't see enough of that. But they shipped him off, and he went to Philadelphia. Whoa, Kenny Pickett, right? Well, Kenny Pickett's got a Super Bowl ring now because he ended up in Philadelphia. So just because you get shipped off don't mean you're going to Siberia. And I think the same thing is going to happen with either Gabriel or Sanders. Somebody's going to end up with one of these two guys, or they can end up with Kenny Pickett. But it'd be interesting to see that whoever makes this team, and if the Browns struggle and Deshaun Watson's able to come back, it'd be greatly interesting to see just what the Browns would do. All right. I already knows who they are going to pick. All right. Insert human here says we already knows who they're going to pick. It's been clear all training camp. Here's the answer. Who's gotten first team reps and who has gotten no reps with first team? That's your answer. Not always the case. I mean, it may seem like it's clear, but anytime that you get an opportunity to get any kind of reps, you got to take advantage of it. And Sanders did that. Gabriel, you know, he's been getting more reps than what Sanders got, but he took advantage of what he got. The fly in the ointment is Kenny Pickett. The Browns are going to have to get some kind of value out of one of these quarterbacks. They don't know what their future is going to be. They bumped their heads when they took two young quarterbacks in the first round. They could have took another position, and they wouldn't be having all this strife that they're going through. I think Pickett, as we move closer to cut deadline, he's the one that's in danger of being dealt. Because if he doesn't play well tomorrow, then it's going to be obvious. You can't really depend on either of the two rookies, but if he can't depend on Pickett, then hell, you might as well play the young guys. They're going to have to play at some point anyway. You know, I've seen quarterbacks where they go in the third or fourth quarterback in one game. It don't take much to break up a quarterback if you put a big hit on him. So it seems obvious to us who they could pick there, insert human, but I think overall you're probably right. But this is the Browns we're talking about. You never know what the Browns may do. So, but I'm waiting to see tomorrow just what happens with that. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think the final cut is due by next Monday or Tuesday. We'll know pretty soon after the weekend is over. But they better hurry up and make it clear because our interests are going to start shifting to college. As you know, college kicks off this week. I think they got that game in Ireland between Kansas State and Iowa State. It's only a sprinkle of college games this weekend, but the majority kick off next weekend, headlined by Ohio State hosting Texas. A lot of big games starting on the 30th, and the interest is going to shift to that Labor Day weekend session, and we're not really concerned about the Browns so much at that point. So the Browns, to keep themselves relevant, much like the Cowboys like to keep themselves relevant, they need to make a decision before all the attention shifts over to the college games, at least for a couple of days. Now down here in Florida, first week of the season actually kicks off tonight, and a lot of interest around this town about some of the teams here. One of the most athletic teams, Jacksonville Reigns, they were supposed to play against Miami Central, but some kind of way that game got canceled because of some kind of safety concerns. That would have been a really big game population-wise, and I think that some people were concerned about the safety aspect of it. There's some reason to believe that, because, in general, the average cat from Miami, you don't tend to like a guy from Jacksonville or vice versa. I'm not from either. I just happen to know that, they just don't care for each other. It's not like, on site, jump on somebody, anything like that. It's just that they just generally don't have anything to do with each other, at least from what I've seen. And having that idea in the back of their mind, unless you're playing in a neutral site somewhere, but to go into any one of those neighborhoods in those cities there, if there truly is strife, then there could be some problems. Sad as it might seem, but you have those kind of issues, it trumps the game itself. And people tend to forget about the game and shift over to their own personal ideas about things, and it changes the dynamics of a lot of things. So I don't know if it was a good idea to change it, but it might not also have been a bad idea. But it would have been nice to see those two athletic programs, because, Reigns, if they have nothing else, I don't care what year it is, they're going to have athletes. They got about 3 or 4 guys in the NFL Hall of Fame. And Central, when they started adding all those high classifications, that's when Miami Central came on the scene. And if you don't know Miami Central, James Cook of the Buffalo Bills, he played there, Dalvin Cook's brother. But when they had the 4A, then you had all these Miami teams jammed up. Then they started thinning that out, and then you got schools like Central who would drop from the big class and move down to the smaller class. Then they started to build that way, and they became much more of a threat. And they won several state championships within the last 20 years. And it's all because of breaking up all those big classifications. And Reigns has been steady throughout. And like I say, they got, 3, 4 Hall of Famers. I don't know if Harold Carmichael is in, but Brian Dawkins played there. Who else from Reigns in the Hall of Fame? Bob Hayes didn't play there. He played at Gilbert. This was pre-integration days. And but they got about 3 or 4 Hall of Famers. I got to go actually look it up. And I know it's more than just Brian Dawkins. What are you talking about? Why is it so loud? Bacon here. Unless you're talking about the air conditioner. JC, how you doing, man? I'm trying to figure out which one of these quarterbacks they're going to take. I don't know if we can trust the Browns to make a decision on these quarterbacks. It was a dumb decision in the first place to draft 2 rookie quarterbacks. Sanders, the fly in the ointment, people give him a hard time because they think that he feel like he's above all of the process, and he's been punished for that perceived thought. And really they're trying to stick it to his dad, because the dad did make a comment like he can just pick up the phone behind the scenes and make things happen. Well, that didn't go over too well with the owners, because they feel like they run stuff, not somebody on the outside. So I think this was a shot at him to keep him in his place. But his son Shador, he's got a shot. He should make a roster somewhere. If he doesn't end up in Cleveland, he's going to end up somewhere. But his son Shiloh, he's the one that's in danger of being cut. He played pretty well the first preseason game, but the last preseason game, the things that I saw him struggling with in college, jumped up and bit him last week. So he's on that line, holding on, trying to make the team. Looks like to me, they're probably going to cut and re-sign him to the practice squad. That'll probably be his best opportunity to make the Bucks. But he could get dealt and go somewhere else and make an impact. So just because you get cut, that doesn't mean you won't end up somewhere else. Break forever. Sanders, if traded, would get his chance no matter what. You're right. I think he I don't know. I made the joke the other day about Anthony Richardson. If the Colts get rid of him, they probably send him to Cleveland too. Cleveland like taking on quarterbacks, so send him over there too. Something else for us to talk about. All right, they will go with Flacco. Yeah, he's a starter because he's the one with the most experience, but should pick Shador number 1. So you think Shador should be the starting quarterback? I hadn't seen enough of that to make that decision. I hadn't seen anything from Gabriel to make me think that he's ready to be a starting quarterback. Because of that, most teams tend to go with experience. That's why they named Flacco right away as a starter. He's manageable. He can run the offense and keep him out of trouble for the most part. But just like in Pittsburgh, the line's going to have to keep this guy standing up. He's got to have time to throw. If he doesn't have time to throw, then the Browns, it could be a very long year. You got to be able to protect that quarterback, man. And I don't know. No, he's not ready yet, break. But I think that in time he can get ready, but it's going to take reps. And you got to be able to adjust when you make a mistake, come back and not do the same thing. So when Gabriel comes in, the film that they have on him throwing to those tight spots where the receivers are, their opponent this week, the Rams, are going to be looking for that. And if he tries to fit it in there like he did then, they're going to pick one off and run it back again. So he cannot make those same kind of mistakes. All right, what about Jackson Dart? Well, I think Dart is in prime position to come in mid-season and start. Russell Wilson, he's still playing. I seen him throw some nice balls the other day, and he seemed to me to be the best option for the Giants because of his experience. Now, that doesn't mean Dart couldn't run the offense as well as Wilson, but why rush him out there? Keep him in school. Fill his head up with this NFL game. Let him get on to the speed. And maybe if it's a blowout or something, get him in there, get some reps in. But I don't think Dart's ready yet. But if Russell Wilson starts to struggle during the season, they're going to pull him out and they're going to put Dart in. I think Jameis Winston is probably going to be penciled in as the backup, and Dart's going to be third. And he's going to end up jumping Winston. And then as soon as Wilson starts to struggle, they're going to pull him out of there. But Dart, he looks good. But keep in mind, it's just preseason. All you're doing is seeing the vanilla stuff. Nobody's going to show you anything, and very few starters out there. So the difference between the starter and the backup might be 2 steps, or at least 1 step. And that 1 step can mean the difference between pick 6 or 80-yard touchdown. Or you showing out in preseason, you might not be able to get that if the starters were out there playing defense. So keep that in mind. All right, Winston is playing good. Yeah, he is. But you know how he is. It's like tossing a coin. Winston, he's going to take chances, and he's going to get himself in trouble, and he's going to throw great passes, and just when you think he's got it all solved, then he's going to throw it away. Just like Brett Favre. Favre was great, but at the same time, Brett Favre was playing. So you knew at some point he was going to throw one away, and I'd be damn, he did it every time. And that's the same thing with Jameis Winston. So we'll see how that goes. But I see where they retiring Cam Newton's uniform at Auburn. So he's like the 3rd player to get that. That's a great honor for him. He had a great season that year. I just wish for him he didn't have that bonehead moment when he fumbled the ball in the Super Bowl, and instead of just diving on it, he stood there and watched it like he was expecting somebody else to be able to pick it up for him. That changed his image for a lot of people indefinitely, because you can't fix that. If the championship's on the line, you got to go get that ball. And then the comments he's made since then about he'd rather win MVPs and all this other kind of stuff as opposed to a championship, it really started looking at him like he's crazy. Now that sounds good to these modern players, but over here like me, we trying to win a championship, man. We don't give a damn about no personal stats. And that let you know that that's all he cared about was personal stats. So look at me. Y'all looking at you look like a damn fool with that championship laying on the ground there, and you decide that you don't even want to try to pick up the ball. And you can't even justify that in no kind of way. So, but congratulations on him making that, getting his uniform retired in Auburn. Pittsburgh should make him a number 2. What are you talking about? Winston? No. I don't know who the 3rd string quarterback is for Pittsburgh, but what's the name? Rudolph. Rudolph's playing pretty well, and I think Rudolph should stay there behind Aaron Rodgers. But the third quarterback, I'm not sure who they have. But I think that we don't need Winston. Let him stay right where he is. But Jackson Dart, yeah, he's got a real good chance to be a starter before the season's over with. But I'm telling you right now, what I see from the Giants is night and day from what it looked the last couple of years. And if they're able to run the football and play action with Wilson, then they're going to win some games. Well, all they got all these distractions in Washington and Dallas. Hell, they might even make some noise in that division. It's not out of the possibility. So I say keep an eye on New York. If they get off to a good start, then they're going to be there. And Philadelphia, they're going to be there also, but they ain't going to be dominant as they were last year. And another thing that I'm hearing about the NFL, people are just already written off the Chiefs based on what happened last year in the Super Bowl. Well, I don't care what league you playing in. I never met a quarterback who can throw on his back. And the way they got out to Mahomes, they had the better defensive line than what Kansas City could block. And because of that, Mahomes, he couldn't do a whole lot. So a lot of people think he's done. Well, don't write the Chiefs off. They still going to be pretty good, and they still got that champion's heart. And when it comes down to it, how many times have you seen Mahomes not make a play when he absolutely had to make a play? And it was brought up yesterday on this channel. Guy telling me about Lamar Jackson. Hell, when the game's on the line, Jackson hadn't been able to do it. Well, you compare that to Mahomes. How many throws has he made when he had to make them? That's the determining factor of how far your team is going to go, as if your quarterback can stand in there and make the throw when he has to make it. Yeah, you can run and look pretty and all that and get the stats. That don't mean a damn thing when you're playing against an equal team and you have to make a throw or convert, and it don't come as easy as that video game stuff you see. So keep that in mind. So I'm getting short on time here. A lot of you don't think the Browns will choose the right quarterback. I think they're going to do something absolutely silly myself. But I'm thinking they're going to either deal Pickett or they're going to deal either Gabriel or Sanders. So I think what's going to happen, Sanders might get dealt to a team like the Saints, and they're going to keep Pickett and Gabriel. That's probably the likelihood. But I think if there's any struggling later on, Deshaun Watson is the fly in the ointment. He's going to come back later, and he's going to join the team. And if they're struggling, they're going to have to cut somebody to put him on that team, and they're going to put him out there to see what he can do, because they got to pay him. It's not personal. It's all about money. And if they're still paying him and he's able to play, they're going to put him out there to see what he can do. That's just what I think. But if you missed the history lesson, I was letting you know that the Browns, I call this the Browns Bowl when they play the Rams tomorrow. Every time they play the Rams, it's the Browns or the Cleveland Bowl to me. Because as you know, the Rams, they started out in Cleveland before moving to LA in 1950. The Browns started out in 46. They won the first 4 years of that AAFC championship before joining the NFL. They took that spot in Cleveland after the Rams left. A lot of people didn't have any faith in Paul Brown, and they thought he was coming from a Bush league. But well, in reality, the Browns ran through the NFL because they were not Bush league, and that's because their coach was innovative. But for Cleveland's sake, 1950 championship, they had both their teams in the championship. The former Cleveland Rams versus the new Cleveland Browns played for the 1950 championship, and the Rams ended up knocking them off. So that's your history lesson for today. But I just wanted to chime in and make a few statements about these Browns. The time is running out. Let us know what you're going to do, man. But you better tell me something before it's too late, because college season is kicking off on Thursday, and I don't give a damn about the NFL until they kick off a week later. So that's just the way I feel about it. But anyway, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. That little horn there was my signal to go sign in and get to work. I appreciate you guys checking me out, though. And if you like what you hear, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And unless there's some breaking news, I'll catch you in the morning sometime. And definitely Monday through Friday about 6:30 I'll be on. And anytime I might have breaking news. We'll catch a high school game out tonight. Maybe I'll go live. Maybe I'll go broadcast from that also. But I have some highlights for you coming up. And this is the greatest time of the year, football season. So if you don't believe it, then you probably should go to another channel. But until next time, you guys have a great day. And let me check this poll one more time. 75% of you guys don't think that the Browns can make a good decision. I kind of feel the same way, and I'm just waiting to hear what dumb thing they do next. And it's just par for the course for the Cleveland Browns. But anyway, you guys have a great day. I got to go take care of these kids, man. So I'm out. Also, keep my eye on them Steelers, man, because Aaron Rodgers is going to play better than you think they are. And he didn't play last night, knocked off the